pleasure to say welcome to yet another amazing episode of Flipside on Independent Television, reaching you live from the city of Benin. Yes, I'm talking that city where the king is truly king. Now, I know there are persons that are joining us for the first time. Flipside is a unique show that tends to put a balance to issues by looking at them from different perspectives. You know, they say variety is the spice of life, right? You know, sometimes when you focus too much on one perspective to an issue, it becomes boring. You know, so the idea of Flipside is to take a look at topical issues from different angles, and that way we are able to strike a balance. My name is Harry Aigbo J, and of course, it's my pleasure to have you join me on this lovely episode of the show. Now, today we're discussing something that has to do with minors, basically. Okay, a whole lot of they say children are the leaders of tomorrow, so it's very important that we examine issues that affect them. The topic of today's discuss is violence among school-aged children. Violence among school-aged children. Now, if you are an instructor or a teacher, I'm sure you must have noticed that certain kinds of children exhibit certain traits of violence. Okay, it's not as serious as the type that adults exhibit. Okay, of course you know they are kids. Okay, but it's still very much serious because some children are more violent than others. Some children are naturally calm. They are naturally, easygoing, less troublesome, less aggressive, and all. But there are some who just have this natural tendency to, stir up trouble. It's not that they are bad. Let's get that straight first of all, okay? Because the fact that your child is violent or aggressive, I think that's a more passive word. Doesn't mean that the child is bad. It just means that the child is wired that way, perhaps as a result of certain circumstances. And those are the circumstances we intend to take a cursory look at on the show today. Now, I've got two powerful, two strong women in the house with me. They are not new faces. They happen to be teens coaches. Teen coaches, okay? They are young. They are women who are passionate about young people, especially teenagers. Okay, one of them deals strictly with teenagers, while the other deals with, I think, children, maybe below the ages of, say, 15, 14, or thereabout. Now, to my far left is someone who goes by the name of Mercy Onyo, and just like I said earlier, she is a team coach. It's good to have you in the house, Mercy.
Thank you, Harry, for having me. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and it's great to have you on the show. And of course, seated next to her is another team coach who goes by the name of Abigail Airobahi. Welcome on board, Abigail.
Thank you, Mr. Harry. Good
Okay.
afternoon to you all.
Yes, good afternoon, and it is indeed an amazing feeling to be seated with two powerful women. I'm glad to be in your midst. Okay, so let's set the ball rolling. It's a very important topic that we're taking a look at. What are the most common forms of violence experienced by school-aged children? In what ways does violence manifest among school-aged children? Who would like to take the first shot? Abigail or Mercy?
All right. When we look at violence among school-aged children, generally violence is understood as kind of intentional and aggressive behavior that
Intentional.
yes, is intentional, that is designed to kind of designed to cause harm or disrupt the learning environment and make others feel unsafe.
Mm.
Now, when we look at violence among school-aged children, it's talking about any form of aggressive behavior that occurs within within the school environment, or maybe around the school environment. Even it may be when the children are in class, in the classroom, in the playground,
Okay.
or maybe on their way home, And the types of violence within the school encompasses a range of, let's say, physical, psychological, and even sexual acts that is perpetrated by peers in and around the school environment. When we look at physical violence, it has to do with when children inflict physical pain
On other children?
on other children, like pushing,
Okay.
eating, slapping, and sometimes you can, if you're an educator, you realize that there are times that this behavior is common amongst children. So it now falls on teachers to educate. There should be rules and regulations in the classroom. For instance, you can tell the younger children, you can tell them, keep your hands to yourself. You don't use your hands to communicate, because there are some people, their hands is kind of faster than their mouth. So it now falls on, at home we have the parents talking to the children. Then in schools you have the teachers. So that's the duty of teachers
Teachers and
to
instructors.
ensure that the environment, the learning environment is safe for the children. Then we also have psychological violence. When we talk about,
So
look at,
violence is
yes,
psychological too.
psychological violence, it has to do with um, cases that borders on abuse, verbal abuse, um, insulting someone, body shaming them, or kind of, it can also involve social exclusion or excluding someone from a gathering, or
From
from playing,
a circle.
yes, in a particular, being friends
Okay.
with a particular group. Then we also have bullying. Bullying is also a form of violence, because you cannot talk about violence
Without
without
talking
talking
about
about bullying.
True.
Because when we look at bullying, it's like an unwanted, like an aggressive behavior that occurs, a pattern of behavior that is carried out against the victim, and kind of is intentional. Is like something that that occurs repeatedly. For you to say some, for you to classify an action as bullying, it has to be something that has, like, the perpetrator, the aggressor, keeps on doing that particular thing over time.
Okay,
So
so
one thing about bullies is that they pick their victim. They usually go for
weaker.
children, yes, children that they perceive as kind of weaker than them. So we have cyber bullying, that kind of bullying that takes place on the internet, sharing of jokes, rude jokes about your classmates or about your friend, posting their pictures without their consent, and stuff like that. Cyberbullying is also there. So these are some examples of violence that takes place within the school environment.
It's quite interesting to note that violence is way beyond physical. It could also be verbal, from what you've said so far. Okay, Mercy, I would like to know, how does exposure to violence, influence children's behavior in school?
Okay, I'll take it from, let me take it from the home front. Let me share this story of a boy called Shinedu. Very amazing boy. But from the house he comes from rather, the father and mother, they are always fighting. They are always quarreling, they are always at edge at each other. So the boy now pictures the, children and human generally, we mirror what we see.
True.
Yeah. So that's already, that's foundation already. He sees the parents always at loggerhead at each other, shouting, even the silent treatment.
Even if the parents teach him otherwise?
Yes.
Mm.
Even if the parents are telling you, you are not supposed to be behaving like this, but what they are telling, they don't do it. Because, some people express their frustrations differently. So when this child sees these things, and when you leave children to themselves like that, you don't process it with them like, sorry, I was,
Yeah.
I and daddy, we had issues. This is the reason.
Or better still, don't even quarrel in their presence in the first place.
Beautiful. So you see, I've seen it firsthand, physically. I've seen it. I've come in contact with parents who go at each other in the presence of their children. And you see those children, they internalize those things. And before you know what is happening, when they go to school, that fear from the house is already there. They are not themselves. When they get to school, you see them quiet. Any little thing, they want to respond. They respond aggressively. They respond shouting. They respond, because of where they are coming from. They feel that is the right way to respond.
So they're already used to that lifestyle.
Yeah.
Okay, Abigail, you have anything to add to that, or you
Okay,
want to go the same line?
the exposure, the home factor plays a huge role in child upbringing. Like child psychologists will tell you that they favor nurture more than nature. So I don't think that there is any child that is born to be problematic, or that is born with that aggressive nature. Man at birth is a tabula rasa. Man is a clean slate. So
Yeah.
most of the things that, most of our behavior, though we have our temperament, our personality, which is innate, but most of our behavior is something we learn from those around us. So a child now, a child that is growing in, let's say, a chaotic home environment, or a child that is growing up in a home where he or she is exposed to domestic violence or domestic abuse. Now, that child may not be the direct recipient of that abuse, in the sense that the child may not be the recipient. It may just be maybe the mother, the father is physically abusive towards the mother.
Okay.
That child is learning. Because children learn by what they see the adults around them do. So that child will go to school with that same behavior. So the child is learning that for you to solve a conflict, there are different ways of managing conflict. They will feel that for you to solve a problem or to solve a conflict, you need to be aggressive. So that even little things can aggravate them, can trigger them. Okay, you took my pencil, you threw my book on the floor. Before you know, they will just raise them, because that's what they see. So a child that is growing up in a violent home environment or a conflict-driven home, most times will be given to aggressiveness.
So does that mean that children who are given to, or who are used to dialogue as a means of solving problems, are naturally going to move in that direction?
That's it. You can't give what you don't have.
Okay, thank you so much. I would like to ask this too. To what extent does social media and online communities contribute to violent behavior among young people? Abigail?
Okay. Social media. Social media has lots of contribution. A lot of young people, in fact, the media in general. The media is a tool to communicate. Is a tool to teach values. The media can be used as a tool to uphold or to reduce standards, that's moral values in the society. So there are things you can learn from the media, social media, television, music videos, both positive and negative, and children are not left out. Now, one of the ways children can be exposed is that when children children are exposed to negative content online, maybe content that promotes ideologies that kind of promote violence, toxic ideology, toxic masculinity, and stuff like that.
Femininity.
Yes.
Let's not forget that.
You said you forget that. Oh, good. So things like that, it can kind of bring about negative behavior in children. Now, studies have also established that children who are exposed to on-screen violence, like maybe the kind of movies they watch, the video games, most especially the kind of games they watch.
Because some games are violent in
Yes,
nature.
some games are violent in nature. You will see some children at home, they're always kind of physically abusive towards their siblings. You will see any little thing. Sometimes as a result of the media content that they consume. So children who are exposed to violent media content, either from social media or from television, video games, or cartoon, most times they are prone to being aggressive. So I think parents also have a lot of role to play in kind of curbing or limiting the media content their children watch. Yes. Okay, there's this news, I think some months back, I saw this news on Facebook about a 12-year-old boy that used a baseball bat to hit his mom on the head because the mom told him to put his phone away, to stop playing on his phone. Now, the mom died, the woman died, she lost her life. There are two things I can deduce from that unfortunate, because it's an unfortunate incident, because I can't really imagine a child, a 12-year-old, in fact, a child at any age, you will raise your hand on your mother or on your parents. I cannot imagine that. Now, the first thing I would take from that is that it's possible that the parents, they enable that child. They don't limit screen time. In fact, in as much as we want our children to learn, we want them to be assertive, we want them to, you understand, to be knowledgeable, to be experienced in life, and we hand them phones, okay? There are even times that parents are like, they are the architect of their own problem. There are times that parents give their children, underage children, phone as if the phone is a pacifier. You want to go and cook, your baby is crying, you will hand over phone.
And some of those kids are literally addicted to
They are now addicted. They are now kind of, they can't even do without any little thing. The child is crying, you give the child a phone to watch movies. And before you know it, that child is always on the phone. So in the case of that boy, it's possible that the mother doesn't limit screen time. He has the phone all to himself. And now you are not telling him, you have enabled him, and now you are not telling him to put the phone away. Like the message,
too
the
late,
information is
yeah.
conflicting.
Contradictory.
It's conflicting. You have not been doing this, but maybe the mother heard from somewhere that, okay, this is how to raise a child, and she wants, fine, change is the only constant thing in life. But now the boy is used to this normal way.
Yeah.
Even at 10 p.m., 11 is on his phone. Even when it's bedtime, the boy is on the phone and you don't do anything about it. You just kind of, some parents are like, they enable their children
too
too much.
much
They give them
laxity.
free
Yeah.
and to do things. Now you are not trying to tell the boy, put the phone away. In fact, I think that's the only thing that can give the boy that morale to do something like that, because you have been permitting it. So why can't you permit it? Another thing that I can deduce from that incident is that it's possible that boy is exposed to violent media content.
Okay.
So some of the things, in fact, there was a time that some games children play on social media. They will tell them, go and do this, like kind of a truth and dare, something like that, and go and something like that. Slap somebody, eat your mother, slap, and something. There was a time that we had on social media, there were instances like that where children did something because a social media page or an influencer or a particular person they were following online told them to do it. So children that are exposed to toxic media content or violent media content most times are prone to being violent in nature.
All right, thank you so much, Abigail. Children that are exposed to violent materials are prone to violent behavior. Well, it's still Flipside on Independent Television, and today we're discussing violence among school-aged children. We shall be going on this break now, and when we return, the program continues. Please stay tuned. All right, welcome back. It's still Flipside on Independent Television, and we're discussing violence among school-aged children. Now, right before we went on that break, Abigail was trying to explain how this violence manifests among young people. So, take it from there, Abigail.
Okay. Now, violence can manifest in various forms. No, the school, which used to be a safe place for learning,
Safe haven.
yes, for learning and growth, is gradually becoming a place of violence small boy, that's how it starts. You cannot caution your child. I've seen some children, they will eat an adult, and the parent will be there, the mother will be there, or the father will be there. Especially mothers. I know we mothers, sometimes we do this. They'll say, it's just a baby now. Or they'll say, that's how boys behave. Boys will be boys. You start to caution them from when they are little that their end is not a tool for them to speak, that they can actually verbalize what they want to say. It's not that they will not slap somebody first or eat their pets first before they pass across
A message.
the message or the information that they want to pass across, or for them to be heard. Some children do that a lot. So, no, this issue of violence in schools is becoming a pandemic, and all ends needs to be on deck, the school, parents, even the government, so that this issue will be kind of reduced, brought down to kind of the barest minimum.
Thank you so much, Abigail. That was a brilliant analysis. Yes, please do.
Yeah. Yes. You know, you mentioned something happened in the West. It's happening here in Benin.
Yes.
I know.
It's just that it's not in the same, magnitude in which it's happening there.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's this issue. I think some time ago, this mother, she reached out to us and she was crying. She said they had to relocate the son out of Benin City, out of Edo State, not just Benin City, because the child, he got to an estate that this particular student, there was a day in school, he hid inside ceiling so that those bullies will not see him. To that extent. So, and when he got to, he couldn't tell the parents because they've already threatened him. If you talk, when he gets to school, they take his money, they take his food, his valuable every day. So that fear made him to be hiding away from those bullies.
Yeah.
So he got to the notice of, I think, one of the teachers and drew the attention of the parents. So they were scared and they told him they are going to kill him. They had to whisk him out of Edo State. So schools and parents need to pay attention to their children. Because when your child comes back home and the child is not the way he used to, a child that is, playful, that is outspoken, a child that is, when you see that child, you know that this child is okay. But suddenly the child is becoming withdrawn. He's acting strange. Then you know that something is underneath. So we really need to pay attention to this.
Menace. It's indeed a menace because just like Abigail said earlier, if it's not curbed early enough, it's going to become a monster that we are all going to be running helter-skelter from. Now let's examine the role that early childhood traumas play in shaping the minds of children, as regards going violence. Yeah. So what's your thought on that?
Yes, that's a very, very serious and critical aspect we should look at. Parents, it all boils down to parenting, the home front. I tell parents that you can put away your pride and sacrifice. Let the house be peaceful. Let the home be peaceful for the sake of your children. Fine, they should already ask to come. When you keep on, fighting each other, the husband is beating the wife is beating the husband. There's a case of a child.
Wives beat husbands too.
Yes, they do.
Okay.
There is a case of this child that went to school and they asked them to write about their families. After that, the parents were not even aware. By the time the child, they sent for the parents, they sent a letter to the parents that come to the school.
Okay.
When they came to the school, and the teacher was telling them, the reason why I sent for you guys is, look at what your son wrote here. Write an essay. And your son just wrote, in my family, my mommy beats my daddy. Yes. And so that thing, it has traumatized the child that he could not express it. There is nothing he can say about his family.
Yeah.
So that's a very huge...
That was a child speaking from experience.
Yes. So please, parents, let's pay attention to the way we behave. Let's pay attention to the way we care for each other at home. I tell parents, the greatest gift you can give to your children is your love for one another. Let your children see that you, the man, you love your wife, and you, the wife, you love, you honor, you respect your husband. When children grow up in such an environment, they are confident, they are loving, they treat people with empathy. They don't do things anyhow. They name their emotions.
Okay.
They name their emotions. You see that they are healthy. So the home front is very critical.
All right.
Very critical in raising children who are sound and not traumatized.
Okay. The greatest force on earth is love.
Yeah.
Isn't that how you put it?
Yeah.
I'm just paraphrasing. Words on marble. Well, it's still Flip Side on Independent Television. We shall be going on this last break, and when we return, it will be time to wrap things up on the program. Please stay tuned. All right, welcome back. It's still Flip Side on Independent Television, and we're discussing violence among school-aged children. Now, Abigail, does gender dynamics have anything to do with the way children express themselves violently?
Okay. When we talk about gender dynamics, or we can look at it from the aspect of gender norms, which kind of defines what behavior, what the society expects of
Both
boys,
gender.
yes, of boys and girls, how
Okay.
boys should behave. These are behaviors that are acceptable for boys, and these are the behaviors that are acceptable for girls. You know, gender dynamics, gender norms have a role to play in when it comes to this issue of violence, both for a child that is predisposed to being violent and the victim, the recipient of violence.
Okay.
For instance, in the society, there is this belief that boys are supposed to be strong. Boys are not supposed to show weakness. They are supposed to be dominant. And sometimes this can encourage violence in boys.
But aren't boys strong
Yes.
naturally?
Boys are, but there are always exceptions. You know, there's a book by James Dobson,
Okay.
Bringing Up Boys, that talks about the characteristics of a boy. No, that I will encourage all parents with male children to read that book. He also has one that for the girls, Bringing Up Girls.
Yes.
He said something in that book. He said that boys, the way boys, because of the genetic makeup of boys, I don't want to go into
Yeah,
much
yeah,
explanation
details,
because
yeah.
of time.
Yeah.
That you see that boys, they play a lot, they are strong. Biologically, boys are different from girls. The way boys, the way they want to dominate, you see them when they are young, they want to climb, they are always doing things that will even bring kind of, make them sustain
Yeah,
injuries.
yeah.
He said it's normal for boys, but there are always exceptions. He said that while his son was growing up, that there was a particular child, his son's best friend, that doesn't fit into that category.
That circle,
He
yeah.
was more reserved, more calm. You know, sometimes society frown at boys that are like
That
that,
like
but the
that.
truth of the matter is that in as much as boys is typical, there are some behavior that are typical of boys.
Yeah.
But there are some that doesn't fit into that definition. It doesn't make them less.
Less of boys.
Yes, it doesn't make them less of being a man or they are not, you understand? But we shouldn't give them or label them. So some people are
I guess those
extrovert.
are just societal stereotypes.
Yes, they are societal stereotypes.
Yeah.
So now, how these gender stereotypes or gender norms can influence the behavior is that there are times boys, they will be taught to, the society can teach them to normalize violence. Then on the other hand, on the other side, girls may be more socialized. Yes, that's the word I was trying to look for. Girls may be more socialized to condone or to be passive or to be submissive. There are times whereby a boy will do a certain thing. People will tell you, leave him now, he's a boy child. Then when a girl
Does it.
do that same thing, they'll
Yeah.
say, you are a girl, don't you know? Now, it's fine for us to teach our children how they should behave, but that doesn't mean that we should encourage violent behavior in our children, either boys or girls.
Okay.
Then for boys, another downside in the sense that though society may encourage boys to be dominant, to
And
be
expressive.
assertive,
Yeah.
to express themselves, to express their masculinity, then sometimes it can also be a disadvantage to them, because boys sometimes when they are victims of violence or bullying,
And they cry out,
most
nobody
times they
listens to
don't
them.
they don't even speak out, because if you speak out, society will say that you are too weak.
Weakling.
So even when they are victims, boys may not want. In fact, girls are more likely to speak up against abuse compared to boys.
To boys, okay.
Because society will say, even sometimes maybe it's a girl that kind of bullied or kind of beats up that boy. Sometimes they will ask you, now, again, I beat you. Even the parents, sometimes the parents will say, okay, go and show me that boy. You are a man, you have to, some parents make some of these statements. So sometimes boys will not internalize these statements. So when they are victims of either physical abuse or sexual abuse, they will not want to speak up because the society will see them as weak.
That's weak, okay.
So we have to correct some of these things.
Yes, I actually do hope we're able to correct some of these things because somehow they are shaping our, views and perspectives to life. All right, let's examine this particular one. What are the warning signs that a student may be at risk of engaging in violent behavior? Mercy.
Okay.
Are there any warning signs?
Part of the signs is when a child who is naturally outgoing, a child is withdrawn, a child that normally, participates in class activities, and suddenly the child is not interested again anymore in her.
Loses
interest in things. The child like being alone. The child is just expressing himself or herself, in anger over little issues. That something
is wrong somewhere.
Underlying that kind of behavior. And another thing we must always look at, any behavior, any negative behavior we see in children, there's a why. There is a why. I think teachers should be very, very, intentional
observant,
in understanding their students. Last week I was in a school, I do school outreaches, and I was in the proprietor's office, and one of the teachers came and he was like, this particular boy, he was just venting, this particular boy. I looked at him, I kept quiet. Fortunately, myself and the teacher, we went to that class to do something, and the boy came in. And when that boy came in, I look at the boy, naturally he's a very calm boy. I was quiet, and the next thing, the teacher was aggressive, It was just like, this school, is either you leave this school or I will leave this school. So I said, calm down. Calm down. I look at the boy. I said, calm down, sir. That's the part of the teacher anyway, that don't pay attention to him. You never can tell what this child is going through. Never can tell if you can just be patient and meet him later, because after the teacher left this class, I went to meet the boy and I spoke with him. So there are some people that are really going through stuff. You don't understand. You just want to pick on them. Maybe they didn't answer you. Maybe there's something you expect of them and they didn't, do that thing. You just feel that they are stubborn. No. There is a why behind every action. So a lot of children are going through a lot. They're going through a lot. I met somebody that told me something that the parents didn't know at all. I was like, please help me. I need help. So you see them reacting or overreacting or not acting at all. It's not normal. Something is behind it. So when you see children who normally do things, maybe their school, their academic work, they are no longer meeting up.
Naturally given to.
Yes, they don't do their assignments. They write tests. They used to get 50 over 50. Now they have 25. You know that something is wrong. So if the teachers and parents can, pay attention to the students, you know that you are not just teaching for money. You are shaping destinies.
Yeah.
You are shaping destiny. You are imparting the next generation. You should be able to calm down and look at these children. When you notice anything, get them to talk to you, get them to know what they are going through. I believe, yes, it's going to help the children.
I'm glad you mentioned that, because that will lead me to the next question. And I'm also glad you are in the field of, teaching and instructing, right? Now, what training do you think teachers should receive to be able to identify and respond to violent tendencies in children?
Wow, that's very good take, yes. Teachers really need to be trained. I was telling Abigail behind the scene that there is a school that invited me to talk to their teachers. And, teacher-student relationship. Teachers really, and unfortunately, schools don't pay attention to these things. They feel it's nothing. And we have few people who have this passion for this younger generation. They are very few. So I think school owners, the government, they should please, I'm begging, they should train their teachers on emotional intelligence.
Emotional
very
intelligence.
Important, yes.
Okay.
Emotional intelligence, to be able to know how to react, how to act.
How to identify first.
Beautiful, thank you.
Okay.
How to identify when you see. Another thing, they should also train train teachers on is conflict resolution. Some teachers don't know how to handle issues when issues are brought to them. So conflict is a whole lot, of course.
Okay.
Yes. Teach your teachers, train them, bring resource persons to train them on, conflict resolution.
Okay.
So those two aspects are
Yes.
very, very critical in raising, Another thing they should also teach teacher is the awareness.
Okay.
Yes, they should create that awareness that things like this happen.
Okay.
So they should be, proactive. They should be ready with that, with that mindset, with that, that
Consciousness.
Consciousness, yes, that consciousness. They know that, when they see a particular student, they know that no, something is not right. Why? Because they've been trained.
Okay.
There's an adage that says if you don't train them, don't blame them. So a lot of teachers, they are not functioning where they are not doing their jobs where they just feel it's just to teach because they are not trained. Teachers need to be trained holistically in this aspect so that they'll be able to help the next generation in this particular issue of violence.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mercy.
say
Yes, I was going to ask you a question. In fact, just before you say what you have in mind, okay? She made mention of emotional intelligence and conflict resolution. Now, do you think it's realistic to incorporate that into our curriculum?
Yes, that's even what I wanted to say in addition. When we talk about training for teachers, teachers should be trained with the essential techniques that is needed for them to be able to identify and respond to violent tendencies within the school environment. As teachers, it's not just about teaching, like she said, it's not just about teaching your subject. You might be a guru. You might be good in your subject area. In fact, you might be able to give them all the knowledge they deserve. But aside from that, one thing that teachers should know is that you are not just teaching the subject content, but you are influencing their life positively.
Okay.
So teachers should be trained on effective classroom management. No, one of the ways to curb violence, because there are times violence can take place in the classroom. I have seen a video. I think it was even this week I saw that video of some student. The boy was resting his head on the table, on the desk. And some of his classmates, they started putting some things, writing some notes on his back. They placed it on the back. So the teacher walked in and saw that. There's a way the teacher was able to kind of de-escalate, bring that issue. And she was able to talk to them. And I believe that in fact, the words of wisdom that she shared with that classroom, that I believe that their lives will be forever changed.
So you mean she didn't flog, she didn't spank?
She didn't flog them, she just used dialogue. She was able to appeal to their reasoning. And many of them, they started feeling remorseful about their action. So teachers should be trained on essential life skills. In fact, the schools, like you said, should introduce social emotional learning, SEL, childhood educators will call it SEL, social emotional learning. And it should be integrated into the curriculum. Now, this social emotional learning teaches children about empathy, resilience, critical thinking skills, emotional regulation skills, conflict management. So it should be introduced, as a matter of fact, into the curriculum. So teachers should be trained on how to respond in cases of violence. There are some teachers that don't know how to manage conflict within the school environment. Some of them have a favorite student, or you understand, they want to support.
Personal favorites.
Yes. Even while I was in the educational sector, I have seen teachers that would deliberately say, I will not enter a particular class to teach because I don't like the students.
Wow.
I have seen teachers do that. I have seen teachers that, like, they keep malice. In fact, it's not, when we talk about this issue of bullying, it's not only students or peers. There are teachers that bully children. And that should also be addressed. There are some teachers that are bullies. They will pick on a child. I remember when I was growing up, there was this, I think it was cultural dance or something. A particular teacher said that I will never participate. I don't know why she picked on me, why she didn't want me to participate. So a senior student now called me and said, okay, you do this dance, can you do it? I said, I can do it. She said that, you dance well, so why doesn't she want you to include you? Understand? There are some teachers that they just pick on the student. I don't know the reason, the personal reason they have against that student. So teachers need to be trained. It's not as a teacher, you are a guardian. You are not just a teacher, you are a counselor. In fact, you are like a therapist to the children in your class. You should be able to spot when they are having emotional issues. There are some issues they will be having at home. You as a teacher should be able to spot those issues and know how to come in or how to bring the management into it. I remember while I was in the educational sector, I've seen some students that cannot walk up to their parents to tell them some challenges they were having. There was a student that was able to help. She was having a particular health challenge, something very personal. So when she brought that issue to me, I was able to solve it. And even till this day, she's always grateful for that particular experience. It was an health challenge. She couldn't speak to her parents about it. I told her, okay, these are the process we are going to, since it's something that has to do with the females. I told her I would not want to relate this to myself alone, because tomorrow something might happen and people will ask me, who did you take consent from before you took this girl for checkup? So I had to involve the principal, who was a female, and she gave me the go ahead and say, okay, do this. At the end of the day, our mother got to know about what we did, and she was even thanking me that, thank you for taking the bold steps. So as a teacher, you should be able to spot some issues, emotional or psychological issues, that the children in your class are going through.
I totally agree with you, because I, for one, believe that not everyone belongs in the teaching circle. Yeah. You understand? I feel like some persons are just in the teaching sector because of the need to make ends meet, right? So
because there's no job.
There are no jobs, you understand? But I feel like if you don't have a passion for children, then you have absolutely no business teaching.
You understand? That's why they should be trained.
Yes, training is very important. Yes, and when you talk of training, the first thing that comes to my mind is, the teacher training.
No, not the teacher training.
Okay.
Training them on these aspects, this, therapeutic aspect that she said, that all teachers should be therapists.
Well, isn't it possible to incorporate it into the teacher training college and stuff?
It's very, and I think it's one of the things they do. They must be teaching them those stuff. But training, it should be re-emphasized. It should be repeated, because this is a real life. This is a normal thing you meet every day. So this particular aspect of relationship between teachers and students, should be re-emphasized. At least every time they should do it twice.
Okay.
To keep the teachers on their toes, to know that, yes, you don't just maltreat students. You don't just follow students the way you see them. Things are happening.
Is it possible to have disciplinary boards that monitor teachers and ensure that they are able to, live up to expectation in this regard? Especially as regards, practicing what they learned in their teacher training, colleges. Is it possible to set up such,
I think that most schools have that in place. There is a way they checkmate the teachers. Like when I was seeing the educational sector, there's something they do at every second term. They will tell the student to write about the teacher. Now, when the student assesses that teacher, it's not just about your teaching. It's about your character, the things you say, your dressing,
and the way
everything.
You relate to them, true.
The stories you even share. It was even sometimes when you read some of them, because I was opportunity to be part of the disciplinary committee at a certain point. There are some things that you will even hear, and you'll be surprised that a teacher said this. There are some things that some teachers will say to a student that even a teacher is not even supposed to say that thing to a child. I have seen teachers that go to class, they won't teach the subject area, they will begin to talk about their life. They will tell stories, what they did when they were, in fact, some of them will even talk about their activities with their spouse in the classroom. So I believe that all schools have a way they checkmate. If at any school that is not willing to do that, that means they don't want to grow. So schools should have a way, as you are assessing the work, the academic work of the children, you should be able to assess the work of the teachers, not just about what they teach, also in terms of their character, in terms of their moral upbringing. So I know a particular school that said that if you want to teach in that school, you must be someone with a kind of you must have a kind of
high IQ, moral compass. Okay.
Because sometimes there are some teachers that can mislead the younger ones. So there are some schools that do that. They checkmate the teachers.
All right, Mercy, is there any correlation between substance abuse and violence amongst young people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Definitely, when you take alcohol or you take drugs, it alters your system. Yes, alcohol and drugs is not just a coping mechanism, because I met a youngster who told me that, I asked him, why are you taking drugs? He said, that's my coping mechanism. One other guy was telling me that when things are going wrong, he just wants he doesn't want to think about anything.
He wants to clear his mind.
Yes, it will just be calm. Why some, when you take, this thing has capacity. When you take the one that is beyond your strength, your capacity, you now start
begin to react.
A young guy carried bottle and was destroying everything. One even stabbed the mom to death because of substance
abuse.
So definitely there's a strong relationship between substance abuse and
Yes, Abigail, this happens to be your jurisdiction. I'm sure you'll agree with me. So, have you experienced in real time how substance abuse influences young people to indulge in violent behavior?
Okay. I would say, like, for somebody, it's not just about maybe my work with teenagers. Like, when I was growing up, I grew up in, like, the ghetto, like,
The hood.
yes, the hood. The environment where I grew up in, like, these things were normal.
Yeah.
Cultism, gangsterism,
Alcoholism, substance
stuff
abuse and
like
stuff.
that.
Yeah.
So I've seen firsthand what drugs, effects of drugs can do. I remember there was this this one is even a girl. She took drugs. I think that was the first time that she took those drugs, and she started misbehaving. They had to bring her to the church. She was even the one that told them that my church is not far from this place. Please take me to my church. She was on the effects of the drugs. In fact, the way that girl was displaying, there were so many things that she said then. In fact, when you see a person that is under the influence of drugs, they can do something and they can even injure themselves. They won't feel the pain. That they can even kill some things
So
that normally
their bodies
they
are
will not want
literally
to do.
numb
Yes.
to pain.
Things that they cannot do normally, they will begin to do those things. So when somebody is in that mood, they can take a life. So even when they do it, they won't even know that this is what they have done because they are under the influence of. So these are things that is not something. It's not a feeble. It's not a yesterday. They happen all the time. There are girls that have been molested, that have been abused as a result of drugs. They took drugs. Some of them didn't even know. It was when they woke up they realized that something has happened.
Okay.
So we should always discourage the younger ones. Aside from them taking to violence, something can be done to them while they are on the effect of that drugs, and they won't even know.
Okay.
There are young people that have been poisoned through drugs. They will just inject that thing into their drugs, and the thing will just destroy their system. And before you know it, they'll begin to have health issues, or they will just lose their life as a result. So there's a relationship between drug abuse and
Amazing. Now, how does academic pressure, contribute to the rate at which young people express themselves? You understand? For example, there are children who just emotionally explode sometimes, perhaps as a result of the pressure, the academic pressure that their parents are mounting on them, right? So how does this manifest, in practical?
Okay, I think it has to do with some children, they lack emotional regulation skills. They find it difficult to manage their emotions, especially when they are stressed, especially when they are going through tough times. So because of that, even we adults, sometimes it happens to us. You came back from work, you are really tired, you just want to rest, or maybe your boss, something happened in the workplace, and at that moment your child will just come and begin to tell. In fact, is that most times children are like that. When you're having a bad day, sometimes that's when they want you to come and play with them, and there are times you will just flare up. Like she said, there's a need for you to apologize. I'm just saying in the case of an adult. So there are times you just explode. Please leave me alone. Can't you see I'm tired? The child doesn't understand. They want you understand. But the same way we adults have burnout, we are tired, we are frustrated.
That's how
it
children
can also occur to children. So that's why, as we are teaching our children, we want them to be the best in their academics. We should also teach them emotional regulation skills, how to regulate or manage their emotions, especially when they are stressed out. In fact, it takes a whole lot of kind of anybody that can do that when you are stressed and you can still maintain your sanity, you can still maintain your tone, the way you talk, the way you relate. Because there are times, there are some people that are not prone to anger, they are not prone to being aggressive or violent. But when they are stressed out, they are frustrated, maybe they're having issues in their academics, they will just flare out. I've seen some children that are not given to anger. Even in the educational system, there are some things that the child will do. You as the teacher will say, I know this child. This behavior is not typical of this child. That's what I normally tell educators. When it comes to this issue of bullying or violence within the school, one thing that I will always tell teachers not to do, don't pacify the victim. Some teachers do that. They will say, maybe a child came to report to you and say, John slapped me, John threw my book away, or this one did this, and you say, sorry now, sorry, don't do that. Teachers should never do that. What you should do, you call the perpetrator. No, it's not just about you telling the victim. Now, when you do that, you are passing a wrong information to both the aggressor and the victim. Because that way, just imagine, if I keep on reporting something to you as a teacher, and you don't do anything, you are forcing me to take the law into my hands. Because one day I will retaliate, and my comeback might not be palatable. That's why I always tell children, teenagers, when I work with it, I tell them that you should be careful in life so that you will not become the villain in a situation where you are supposed to be the victim.
Okay.
For me personally, I don't want my child to be the villain or the victim.
Okay.
But being the villain is worse. Because just imagine now, somebody pushed you, or somebody did something, somebody slapped you, and you decide to retaliate. Then you now push that person, and the person fell, and there's a sharp object there. Or the person is having an health challenge, and the person was not too fine that day, and they are the one that came to look for your trouble. Then you now push that person, the person fell. At the end of the day, you are not a murderer.
Yeah.
You are not the villain, and that person was the one, because there's something called, psychologists call it reactive rage or reactive abuse. Somebody will do something, then you react. People will not see what that person did. They will see your own, what you did, because your comeback is far greater than what that person did to you. So you should be very careful, especially educators.
Thank you so much, Abigail. Yes, please
You
do. As we begin to wrap up.
Pressure.
Yeah.
The pressure, academic pressure on the children. Parents, it also boils down to the home. Parents should stop equating success to position, class position.
Okay, academic excellence.
Beautiful.
Okay.
They shouldn't do that. You know, recently, this last jam that took place, a girl took her life. A girl, this last jam, she took her life because of the results.
Perhaps the pressure of the parents.
And she knew what she's going to meet at home. She knew the reaction of the parents. Parents do this kind of, are you not seeing your mates?
Yeah.
Are you not seeing this always taking favor? Excuse me. Success cannot be equated to position. There are lots of people who didn't go to school per se, and they are doing very, very well. So should be able to recognize our children's strengths and weaknesses. And you know, but as children, they understand through different means. You should be able to understand your child's learning style, and you know, encourage them. Stop pressuring them with position. That child might be good in mathematics and is not good in English. Do you understand? Do you get it? So please, parents, the family, the home front is very important. You pay attention. Fuel your children's strengths and try to help their weaknesses. Don't compel them. Don't put them under pressure. Not use positioning. If you don't take first, if you don't take second, I'll deal with you. Look at your brother. Look at your sister. No, stop it. You can do better. So the home front is very important in this issue.
We can do better, and I really do hope we do better, because, you know, I often say that talk is cheap. It's one thing to talk, it's another thing to put it to practice. And I'm hoping that the parents and teachers out there watching us are taking notes and getting ready to implement everything that my awesome guests have said so far on the show. Well, it's been Flipside on Independent Television, and we've been taking a look at violence among school-aged children. It's been such an amazing time on the show today, and I have my guests in the house to thank for it. I'm talking Mercy Onyo, who happens to be a teens coach or a teen coach. And of course, thank you very much, Mercy.
Thank you.
And of course, Abigail Airobahi, who is a teen coach as well. She spoke so passionately about what not to do as regards the way parents handle these violent children. Thank you so much, Abigail, for your contribution.
You're welcome.
Yes, it's been an amazing time on the show. Just like my guests have said, a word is enough for the wise. Violence is not inborn. I think that is one of the most important takes from this conversation. No child was born violent, even though we understand that there are temperaments, you know, different kinds of temperaments. The human being, we are told, is born tabula rasa. What that means is that every human being is born as a clean slate. Nobody comes with any knowledge of anything from heaven or from anywhere, okay? People are a product of what they learn. People are a product of what they accumulate, the experiences that they, you know, gather, okay? So that is exactly what they become. So if someone is violent, it's because they've been exposed to violence over time. Sometimes it's subconscious. Sometimes they're not even aware of it, okay? But you see, the kind of things that they are exposed to shape them and make them who they are. Well, I want to say that it's been such an amazing conversation. Like I said, Flipside on Independent Television reaches you every Wednesday from 1:30 to 2:30. My name is Harry Aigboje, and until I come your way again, same time, same station next week, do the right thing, stay out of trouble, and bye for now.
ITV, certainly the best. ITV, certainly the best.
Certainly the best.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is the International Forum, and I am Wilson Omasho. Well, today is all about what is happening between Russia and Ukraine, and of course the intervention of the U.S. Some of the opinion that there is a leaked paper or a leaked document talking about the peace deal, and that isn't going down too well with Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. Even the troops, they've been talking about it. Well, let me just summarize it for you so I can get to know where we're really coming from. It's like Russia might have to keep what it has earned. Yes, the region they've conquered in the Donbass region, that is among the peace deal. They talked about also reduction of the forces to 250,000. It says you not exceed 250,000. That is almost disbanding Ukrainian army. Now, if a nation do not have an army, would you consider that to be a nation? As it stands right now, Ukraine can boast of over 600,000 military. That was before the war. After the war or in the war, you know what happens. Reduction. But Russia is saying it will not be more than 250. And it's like America is saying yes to it. From what they are saying, after all, Ukraine is losing so much. For peace to reign, keep what you've conquered. Let the world go on. This is going to focus our discussion in this edition of International Forum. With me here in the studio, I have a legal practitioner, public affairs commentator. Join me to welcome Barrister Henry Nwanzo. Barrister, thank you so much for coming on today's show.
Wilson, good afternoon. Viewers at home, it is another opportunity to be here to discuss and look at the issues from the reasonable man point of view.
All right. So let's put the show on the road. Russia-Ukraine were above 3 years and counting, right? And they have numerous strategies of inflicting maximum damage on each other. But the larger portion of damage is coming from, let's say, Russia against Ukraine, because yes, Ukraine is a theater. Ukraine is the host, so to speak, of the war. Before we delve into the peace plan, what do you feel about the war so far?
Well, it's unfortunate that a lot of lives have gone the other way around, but sometimes I begin to ask myself, what is the role of the United Nations and other organizations who would have played a major role in ensuring there's peace in the world? But unfortunately, while others are planning there should be peace in the world, some other persons are looking for avenues to sell their arms, others are looking for avenues to give out arms, others are looking for avenues to support the one country or the other. So you find out that it is more political than you look at it from the ordinary man point of view. But so far so good, Ukraine has suffered more loss than the Russians in terms of human casualties and also in terms of territories that have been ceded, especially in the eastern part of Ukraine. But all the same, if Trump is able to play his card well, ensuring that parties meet at a roundtable conference and see how these hostilities will come to an end, to me, it is the best, because the world needs peace at this point in time.
So it's the best because the world needs peace. Now, if you take a look at the trajectory of the war, before Donald Trump became the president, it was like almost on a balance sheet. We're going to see Ukraine being funded, being helped by the U.S. massively to, like, you know, defend themselves against external aggression vis-a-vis from Russia. But right now, it's like no support. Do you feel that this is a deliberate act on the part of the U.S. to weaken Ukrainian forces? After all, Ukraine making advancement cannot be unconnected to the U.S. aiding them.
Well, you see, it is not only U.S. that is aiding. Some countries in the NATO too who actually wanted them to be part of them equally are supporting in one little way or the other. But again, you know, as a big brother, America is always there, you know, playing this role, as it were. Donald Trump has his vision and he has his mission. His mission that there should be peace in that part of the world. And to me, trying to relax his support, as it were, might not be unconnected to his strategy, ensuring that at the end of the day, these hostilities will come to an end. Just as you find out in his 28 plans that he has, you know, we talk about the issue of the areas that have been, the territories that Russia has already conquered should be ceded to them. You also find out that we're also looking at the issue of the military in the area of reduction in terms of the military number of persons. Again, you also look at the issue of, you know, making Ukraine not to be part of the NATO. Those are part of the agreement which he is looking at, that maybe we push Zelensky into understanding why these hostilities will end. But again, another thing you must know that Zelensky, Putin, on the other part, might still want to play his card, as he usually does in the past. Because when you talk about the issue of ceasefires and others, at the end of the day, the Russian troops are still pounding heavily on the Ukrainian territory, which to me, you know, has caused a lot of damages in terms of human, in terms of materials, in terms of facilities that would have made life better for people, as it were. But if at the end of the day, Trump is able to bring the two gentlemen to a round table and make them see reasons why these hostilities need to come to an end, to me, it is the best, and the world will be a better place for us. The Israelis and the Hamas, you know how he played this role, ensuring there is a little peace in that region, as it were, for now, but not a total peace, because it's just like in Nigeria. When you talk about Boko Haram, you talk about bandits, you talk about kidnappers, these people, you try one way or the other, trying to cut short their activities. But some persons will never relent in, having one or two skirmish here and there. But to me, if Trump is able to mediate and the gentlemen see reasons why they have to cease their hostilities, it will be the better for the world and for their countries as it were. Because a lot of children are fatherless as we speak. A lot of women are husbands. They are widows as it were today because of this crisis. You remember at a point in time they demonstrated that a lot of them have been made widows because of this crisis in that part of the world. So to me, if Trump is able to play his card as usual, that will be better for us all and those Ukrainians and Russians too.
All right, some are saying that in this war, it's like America is not being fair to Ukraine. Specifically, Donald Trump is not being fair to Ukraine. Now, what's your take on that?
It depends on the angle at which the people are looking at it. Are you looking at it from the angle of the terms of settlement, which is of the plans, the 28 plans he had? Or are you looking at it from the angle that he's no longer supporting them in terms of the military support as he used to be in the past? The man has his reasons for trying to play down whatever he has been doing before now. And those reasons are best known to, nobody can actually tell why he has decided to slow down his support, which he usually give in the past. It might be, from my own point of view, it might be for the fact that he wants this war to end, because it is only when one person is at the receiving end, one person is seen to look as if he is losing, he will now want to, okay, let me concede for whatever arrangement is being made for there to be peace. So I believe he might be his own strategy, in trying to bring Zelensky to accept whatever is going to be the terms, as it were. But again, the question you ask, is he being fair? Fair depends on the angle at which you look at it. Fair depends on the angle at where you are standing and looking at it, whether he was being fair. The man has his reasons. The man wants the war to end. The man wants the people of Russia and Ukraine to be at peace with each other.
Wanting the war to end by making Ukraine to look weak by not giving them weapons, is that the best option?
It might also be from the angle that the members, Donald Trump is not acting solely. You have the American government, as it were. He cannot take a decision solely on his own. They might have also looked at it from their own point of view and decided that that support of military support, have to be reduced, as it were. You might be looking at it from the angle again that there's a lot of casualties. Let's be candid with ourselves. And a man who you are fighting, it's not like it's not like the case of David and Goliath. I don't want us to look at it there, because you have God there, playing his role in the life of David, as it were. In the case of Ukraine and Russia, we cannot liken it to that, because from recently you'll be able to see that Ukraine has suffered more loss than the Russians in terms of territories have been ceded. You also have casualties in terms of human casualties. You also have casualties in terms of facilities, as it were. So to me, so Trump alone can already say why he has decided to reduce his support, as it were. But for me, peace is the best option at this point in time. If the parties can come to a round table, 3 years going to 4 years counting, the war is still going on. And a lot of persons are dying day in, day out. Just as I said earlier, what is the role of the United Nations? What is the role of NATO and others? Who are those people there? Have they been able to come into the issues and look at it objectively? The two presidents, as they are very stubborn persons from my own point of view. Zelensky is stubborn. Putin is equally a very stubborn somebody who will not want to listen, as it were. So you find these hardcore leaders who believe in whatever cause they are pursuing, and they pursue it to that extent, not minding what the consequences are, because the consequences are not directly on them. The consequences are directly on the people. The consequences are directly on the facility. The consequences are directly on the economy of the country, as well as the life of the people generally, as it were.
All right. If you just joined us, this is International Forum. We'll go on a break. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contracting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is the International Forum reaching you live from Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria. We're taking a look at the Russia-Ukraine war, the proposed peace deal by the U.S. We're analyzing the impact. Now, if you take a look at the conditions given by Russia to Ukraine, at first, when Joe Biden was the president of Ukraine, things were not like this. Anyway, before we continue our discussion, we have Honorable Etiosa Igebo join us virtually. Honorable, good afternoon. Pleasure to have you join us this afternoon on this wonderful edition of International Forum. Can you hear me? All right, it's like we're having some technical hitches there. When we're able to reconnect, definitely you'll be hearing his own sound, his own opinion and view. Can you hear me?
Good afternoon. Fresh Prince, can you hear me?
All right, I can hear you loud and clear right now. I believe that we're following the trend, and I know you have one or two things to say about this particular situation bedeviling Ukraine right now, about the peace deal about to be proposed by America. It leaked, and Ukrainians, majority of them, they're not happy about it, saying Russia can keep the lands they've conquered, and Ukrainian troops must not be over 250. Take it up from there.
Well, I think this conversation has been going on for a very, very long time, and I want to think that the proposals by the Americans, especially under the government and leadership of Donald Trump, should be accepted by the Ukrainians. The reason is because the more the fight goes on, the more territories that the Ukrainians are losing to the Russians. So I think there's this understanding that the Russians are pushing deeper into Ukraine by the day, and the Ukrainian soldiers are abandoning their positions and trying to defend other regions from different locations. And on that note, many more settlements are falling into the hands of Russia. I think it will only make economic sense for them to accept this deal now and work with the proposed peace plan, whilst they have some kind of a little bit more contributions in a way of what they think that they should do as well as a country, but majorly accept the offer so that the war will stop and they'll lose more territories to Russia if it were to take it through the military means. So I think the proposal should be accepted.
He said he thinks proposal should be accepted. Remember that Zelensky vowed to fight to get every ounce of land occupied by the Russian forces, including Crimea. Do you see Zelensky agreeing to this particular deal, Barrister?
Well, it's going to be difficult him accepting, but I know with pressures here and there, making him to see reasons why he has to accept, knowing fully well that he has lost a lot of officers.
But these are Ukrainian territories.
Well, accepted they are. You know, the Ukraine, they all form part of the former USSR, as it were, in the past. So it's not as if maybe they are new to each other. They are not new to each other. But with the situation, politically, the issues can be addressed even after the war has ended. Politically, the issues can be addressed. Those countries, territories that have been ceded while the war was going on can equally come back at the end of the day. But to me, from a reasonable man point of view, there's no need fighting this war continually. The casualty has been much, especially on the side of the Ukrainians, and continually with what is going on. The support they thought they would have gotten. America would have been the largest support they would have gotten. But the same America today is asking them, my brothers, you have to shield your sword, as it were. And the support they would have gotten cannot come with a man who is asking you to make peace with your neighbor. So it's going to be difficult for them if they
make peace with your neighbor. At what cost?
Sometimes you have to make sacrifices when it becomes necessary, knowing fully well the consequences, as it were. That America is asking that there should be peace, you have to see some of the territories that has already been conquered, reduce the number of your soldiers. Again, the issue of becoming a member of NATO should be cancelled for now and all whatnot. All these are some of the plans that have been put in place. But to me, I know when parties sit down at the right table, they will be able to look at the issues critically, and at the end of the day, parties will be able to decide, say, this is what I am taking out of this agreement, this is what you are going to take out of this agreement. They will have a meeting point at the end of the day where they can now agree as, oh, this war has to end. To me, just as I rightly said, ending the war is the best option for Zelensky at this point in time, because a lot of casualties, a lot of women are widows, a lot of children are orphans, and the way you can look at it, because some have even lost their parents while this war was going on. So he should see reasons why this war needs to end now, for the interest of the people of Ukraine, and for the fact, just as my brother there said, if he continues the war, more territories will go. And when more territories go, it becomes more difficult at the end of the day. I know he's talking about Crimea, he's talking about some other territory that has been, ceded due to this crisis. But again, he has to end this war at this point in time, because those who will support him are the same persons who are saying, let us have a meeting, let us agree, let us look at the issue from a critical point of view and take a decision once and for all.
Taking a decision once and for all. Well, let's go to Honorable Echiosa Ige. But now, you said Ukraine should accept. But Zelensky is saying that every ounce of land must be recovered, including Crimea. There's one of the people that it's like U.S. is in support of Russia since Donald Trump assumed office. And that whatever is happening right now in Ukraine, between Ukraine and Russia, he has pre-planned it already to give Russians those lands that they claim to have called them for help. Now, how do you think this will balance interpersonal relationship, international politics, and the way the strong nations of the world view smaller nations? After all, some are saying that this is an example of how bigger nations subsume smaller nations.
Well, I think as the war takes a longer time to complete, unfortunately, the worst of it is for the Ukrainians. I understand that the Ukrainians will want to also contribute their, concerns, because they've actually fought bravely over the 4-year period. However, Russians, for some reason, has the upper hand, because remember the U.S. government has been trying to broker peace between the Russians and the Ukrainians, looking at the international, concerns from the European Union concerns and the Ukrainians themselves in direct contrast to the position of the Russians. And every time they have a deadlock, the war continues, and the more people get killed on the both sides. But obviously, it seems like the Ukrainians are losing more. So, are we going to allow this war to get on or carry on until the Russians eventually take over the whole of Ukraine? Or will it be wise at this point, knowing fully well that the Ukrainians does not have the sort of firepower that the Russians do enjoy, to broker a deal and let go of some of the arrangements that they have, that they cannot join NATO, but they can join the EU, and they shouldn't expand and reduce their military size to avoid maybe Ukrainians rising up against them in the future, whichever way that it is. I am not saying that the Russians has outright, facts or truth on their part to invade Ukraine, but the underlying factors that has been from the beginning, and so it's still on the burning front line of this conversation, that they can't join NATO, and it wants to demilitarize Ukraine, and they will live as brotherly nations, and the European Union should not move, or the NATO should expand to the east. So I think for me, if you ask me over and over again, I would advise or suggest that the Ukrainians, take a chill pill and understand that if they stop the war now and they reach a truce, their citizens will stop dying and the rebuilding of Ukraine will start from there. So I will repeat again that the Ukrainians should accept the deal and find a way to work with what they have and maybe make some suggestions that will be somewhat fair to the situation at hand, rather than losing everything when Russia gets to the capital city.
All right. Thank you so much for your opinion. Well, you heard me say Ukraine should please go ahead and accept it, but they have been in this war for over 3 years and counting. Some moment they tasted victory in some particular region, maybe kind of an enclave or a village, but later overrun by the Russian troops. So that if this thing should happen, any country that can easily move to another country to occupy some parts of that nation. Some are saying this kind of an agreement will not be too cool when you talk about international relation, global politics. Take it up from there.
It's a fact that it will not go down well, especially when you talk about global politics and international relations, because smaller nations will also look at it from the angle that if by tomorrow, just as you have Nigeria, you have some other neighboring smaller countries who can wake up one morning and decide to annex some of their territories, all in the name of one reason or the other. But again, when you look at this is a war that has been there for going to 4 years, and a lot of casualties. So many things has happened, and America, through Donald Trump, sees it's a man who always talk about peace when it becomes necessary for him to talk about peace. He did that between the Israelis and Hamas, and now he's trying to see how he broker peace between Russia and Ukraine. To me, it is a good idea, just as I rightly said, because it will go down, in history that there is peace in that part of the world. Accepted that peace that is gotten not on a platter of gold. A lot of things has happened. Somebody will feel cheated, just as the Ukrainians will feel cheated because part of their country has been ceded due to the war. They have lost so many persons, a lot of casualties. As men have died, cannot be less than 20 to 30,000 men has
more than that.
More than 30,000, 40,000 men, has died during this period of this war. So those are the angles where Zelensky and his people will be looking at. After we have suffered all these casualties, after we have suffered all these traumas within this period, men and women, we have always stood our ground that we will defend our country to the end. Because that is their position. Their position is that they will defend their country. If it requires them being the last man standing, they will do that. But again, sometimes wisdom plays a major role when you look at issues, and you have to see it from other people's point of view. Though it's going to be painful, as it were, but again, it is the best option at this point in time, putting into consideration the number of casualties, putting into consideration the number of facilities that have been destroyed. Because it's going to take a long time for Ukraine to rebuild itself, especially those areas that have been touched while this war is actually going on. It's going to take time to rebuild. It's going to take time for the people to be healed of this trauma that they have passed through. The psychological and the mental torture a lot of person has passed through while this war has been going on. It's going to take a long time for them to be healed. But in the interest of peace, I believe that Ukraine should see how this war comes to an end. Painful as it were, but it is a necessary end that will bring succor to them and those around them too.
All right. This is the International Forum. We'll go on a break. We'll be right back. Do you feel that Zelensky will agree to this deal, or it is going to be fight to finish? We'll be right back. Don't go away.
ITV, certainly the best.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain, which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contracting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy.
ITV, certainly the best.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is International Forum, reaching you live from Benin City, Edo State, Nigeria. It's all about Russia-Ukraine war. Analyze the peace deal, being put on the table right now. Though leaked, yes, by the U.S. Now let's go to Honorable Etiosa Igebo. You get to realize that Ukraine has been fighting for their territorial integrity. Are you telling them to give up now? Give up what they've been trying to protect might not go down too well with them. Do you see Zelensky accepting that deal?
Well, I think they should have the deal. I think I heard my brother thinking about maybe them not taking the deal or fighting to the last man, presumably, or looking at ways to look at critical aspects of or settling the deal. Like Donald Trump, the president of the U.S., told Zelensky, he doesn't really have much cards on the table because the war is not dictated on his pace. He's trailing in the war. Like when this conversation started about 3 years ago or 4 years ago, I told you on this studio and on this live TV that Russians will have their way and Ukraine will have their say. If they keep fighting and keep killing their men in Ukraine, who would stand to rebuild the country? They've lost a lot of men. I heard my brother suggesting that maybe 30,000 people may have died or soldiers or whatever. I'm not sure. They're talking about some soldiers that have died in the hundreds of thousands. If you can have about 6,000, 7,000 dying from satellite image according to Donald Trump a week, multiply by 365 days times 3 or 4, you will see that a lot of thousands, maybe in the millions, have been killed on the both sides. So to me, I don't think Zelensky understands what leadership is about. I don't think he understands what the contumacies and engagement of war is about. It's not just enough to be a comedian, become a president by popular demands, and all of a sudden you plunge the country into a deadly war that has no end. And women and children are being killed. They made women fatherless, children and kids motherless, and the men has practically been destroyed, and he still want to continue to fight, begging for arms from the European Union and foreign partners. To me, I think that would be ill-thought idea for Zelensky at this time to even imagine with any iota of doubt that he stands a chance against Russia in this war. First and foremost, Russia as a nation is 2 times or 3 times the size of Ukraine. In terms of population, the Russians are way more than Ukrainians. If the Ukrainians are willing to sacrifice 20 million people by virtue of having an equal balance in the war, Russians can afford to sacrifice 60 million. But in this case, Russians are the one with the hypersonic weapons. They are the one with the satellite reconnaissance. They are the ones who can map out industries and establishments and power generating facilities, who can bomb it with hypersonic weapons and all kinds of missiles like Leoreshnik. Even on ground, the Russians seem to have a lot of firepower, whereby they can even produce more arms faster than the whole of EU put together. So when you look at these KPIs, these key performance indications, and the engagement of war and losing people, I think Zelensky does not even really have what it takes now to dictate for the Ukrainians whether they should back up this war or not. Well, maybe Zelensky himself should go to the war front. Maybe by the time he goes there and he's not coming back, the new leader may decide to go into real truce with the Russians. So for me, I don't think it makes any economic sense. I don't think it makes any logical sense or to continue on this path. 3.5 years to 4 years on, so many people have died day by day. The Ukrainians are losing more territories. To me, I think that this particular deal, what Donald Trump is trying to put on the table, should be at the front burner, not what the Europeans are saying. Because with all the Europeans have said, all that has happened to the Ukrainians is that they've lost more men and more territories. They've been killed by the Russians and slaughtered. I don't think Zelensky and the naysayers or the think tankers of Ukraine should allow that to continue. Because I don't see them winning the war. So why not negotiate and just allow peace to reign and start to rebuild your country? And I don't even think today, if election was to take place in Ukraine, if Zelensky will come distance 10th in that election, because he has taken them to a war that first and foremost, they didn't achieve what they wanted to war for. They couldn't join NATO, and a lot of these weapons and the fights and the areas that they said they were going to hold back with the Russians, they couldn't. Every day, Russians is winning more territories. They are literally bombing Kiev now, and I don't think Zelensky should allow that to continue. They should take the peace deal, have some areas of negotiation on the gray areas, and maybe get the superpowers like the US to compel Russia to agree to those terms, and then let the war end. If not, they will end up losing the whole of Ukraine to Russia.
Say that Zelensky should really concede to the proposition or the leaked peace plan orchestrated or planned by the U.S. Join us right now in the studio. He's a lecturer in Uniben. I call him the prof because whenever he is analyzing, get to realize that we'll go back to class, so to speak. Do you want me to welcome, allow me to call him the prof because he's a prof to me, Professor Felix Osaime. Thank you so much for coming. Though late, but it's okay. It's all right. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon.
All right. So right now there is a leaked proposal, so to speak. Nobody knew how it came about, but whether it was you that made it to leak or Ukrainians just got a hold of the paper, nobody knows. But the content is really causing some serious stir in Ukraine. Disband your army. It shouldn't be more than 250,000. The land occupied right now, conquered by Russia, remains with Russia. Then we've also spoken about the aspect of EU deal. But take a look at this too. Do you feel that this deal is fair to the Ukrainian?
Well, all is fair in love and in war.
Wow.
And this is a war situation. We cannot run away from the fact that power politics is at play here. Ukraine, as at the time the USSR disintegrated in 1991, Ukraine had a huge stockpile of nuclear weapons that later was moved to Russia. So that was an effective power base that Ukraine lost as at that time. And Ukraine now is just one of the former Soviet republics. The major power Ukraine has right now is more agrarian than political and technological. In looking at it from that angle, Ukraine also got involved in high-stake politics by trying to join NATO. And that is what Russia has been resisting since 2014. Even as at the time Russia annexed Crimea, it was not this contentious because people still felt that Crimea was part of original Russia and Russia needed access to the sea, which Crimea offers because Crimea has access to the Black Sea, and the area is always open to international shipping and for Russian submarines to go out to sea effortlessly. But if they go to the North Sea, it can be frozen for certain parts of the year. So geopolitics came into the issue. And Russia has constantly argued that Ukraine should not join NATO. What caused the present debacle from the year 2022 was Ukraine's attempt to get into NATO. Meanwhile, before that time, there was the issue of Donetsk and Luhansk that Russia was also trying to seize because there were separatist movements in Ukraine that the Russians were supporting. But the blowout was the special military operation that Putin himself ordered from 2022. And that has brought Ukraine to massive devastation. Although Ukrainians have also put up a very good fight with support from the United States of America and other Western powers as well as from NATO, it has not been an even fight. Russia has more power and it was an unequal match. Ukraine has suffered extensive devastation, particularly the capital Kyiv and other parts of the country. In fact, Ukraine has been under military law since the commencement of this special military operation by Russia. So part of Ukrainian territory has also been seized by Russia. Ukraine has not actually entered Russian territory. Rather, what she has been doing is to launch drone attacks and launch missile attacks to maybe rattle the Russian military morale. And Russia also, at a point, brought in mercenaries that further devastated the Iranian heartland. So if you put these things together, you now see that there is no way ordinarily, even in conventional war, that Ukraine can defeat Russia. But Russia too can not easily also flatten Ukraine. So that has been kind of stalemate. So it has led to Russia leaving the G8 to that reduced to G7. Russia has been facing sanctions from the US and other Western powers. Russia has also used the opportunity to test new missiles, like the hypersonic missile in Ukraine.
Satan 2.
Yes, and Russia has also gone further to do something very interesting. Russia used the period of this debacle to strengthen herself economically. Because she began to insist that if you want to do business in Russia, you must buy things in Russian rubles. So they gradually demystified, in fact, they began to de-dollarize the international market system. And Russia pushed closer to China and other BRICS countries. So it's been more of Russia asserting herself internationally. Ukraine has now become the playground of a new proxy war. And proxy wars usually have greater impact on the theater of activity. In this case, the two big elephants actually are Russia and the USA. Ukraine is the battleground. Now, whatever peace deal is coming out, I definitely built up this discussion so that you know that the peace deal will definitely not be in the way that the Ukrainians will have an upper hand. Because this is power politics.
But it's the land.
Yes, what sovereignty makes
it's
equal.
It's the territory.
What sovereignty makes equal, power makes unequal. We cannot run away from that fact. And the deal that we are talking about that has leaked, of course, they said actually they should have 600,000 soldiers, not 200, 600. In fact, as of now, it is standard at about 880,000.
Yes.
And they are telling them to reduce to 600,000. Part of the territory in Donetsk and Luhansk should be left for Russia. Part of the area they took from Crimea should be left for Russia. And Ukraine should not join NATO. But Ukraine has been giving guarantees, though not yet concretized, that they'll be giving security guarantee that they will not face further attacks. As we are discussing now, Russia is still attacking Ukraine. They are still attacking Kyiv. So the bombardment, whether by mortar, by missiles, and by drones, has not even stopped. And the retaliatory capacity of Ukraine is dependent on support from the US and other Western powers. So it's been a very, not complex, but confusing situation.
Confusing in what ways?
It's confusing because you are seeing the person at the receiving end struggling to stand on his feet with support from somebody that is standing behind him, propping him up, giving him weapons to fight somebody that is bigger than him in his front. So that's why it's confusing. But it's not complicated at all. You can easily see through that it's proxy war. And Zelensky, as much as the young man has always been patriotic, trying to insist that this is our country, this is our land, that the motherland must be protected at all costs, it is getting close to when he has to take the step back and say, what is the way out? Because there's something we call end game.
Yes.
And in end game, you ask yourself this question: where are we going to end in this discussion? And in this discussion right now, as it is in Ukraine, the Ukrainians are saying that they will have to throw in their toy. That's just the way it's going to end.
But Zelensky is saying that?
He doesn't have to say that openly. You see, the optics are a bit obvious. And if he says that openly, you say, oh, we have given up. That's defeatist. He doesn't have to say that. He can simply say powerful pressures from powerful states prevail on us. That's a diplomatic way of saying we have stepped back. Okay, it has to be diplomatic. You don't just openly go and shout. What about the lives that have been lost? What about the destruction to the country? What about the national infrastructure that has been wrecked, that has to be rebuilt? And there is already plans to set up an international coalition of support for Ukraine. So Ukraine is not even likely going to... Of course, this is macabre politics. They've lost something, but they're going to get a lot back in return. So
interesting.
It's very, that's why I say it's confusing, but it's not complicated at all.
All right, now does that mean that countries that call themselves police of the world, America and its allies, are they too scared of Russia to tell them to back out of Ukraine? If other countries immediately They'll tell them no negotiation, get out of that country or else, according to that trope, we bomb and bomb and bomb and bomb. But in this case, it's not happening. Are they scared of Russia?
Not really being scared of Russia, but again, you look at the man who is at the helm of the affairs. Because there are certain persons who are not ready to budge, just as you have in the case of Putin. Putin, with all sense of humility, in certain people, you look at him as a man, somebody will say he's a madman, a man who will not want to listen. He's tailored towards carrying out that which he has made up his mind to do. So such a person, you'll be very careful, dealing with him. He's just like a suicide bomber who has tied the bomb around his waist. He is not interested. His life does not mean anything to him. That is the same situation you find in Russia today. The man has made up his mind. The man has been there for a very long time, and he has, succeeded in a kind of, being able to put it in these people that they so much believe in him, and even those who have the will and the courage to challenge some of his actions, they are kept somewhere, out to avoid them, infiltrating the people, trying to remove that mindset which he has been able to implant in them. So that is why they are, not that other countries are afraid, pushing harder, but they are looking at what will be the consequences. Will the man decides to use nuclear weapon? Will the man decide to go gaga? Because, all these other powerful nations are trying to put him to where he belongs. So, to me, dialogue, parties coming to a roundtable conference, looking at issues critically from a reasonable man point of view, putting again into consideration that they are not the only persons there. You have the people of Russia, you have the people of Ukraine. Just as we rightly know, thousands is not 20, not 30, not 40,000, men, women, and children have died, all in the process of two persons trying to exact it on each other. The man pointing hand, the other man pointing hand, but whatever you can do, I can do better. And that is what you have found. Ego comes in. Those who are supporting, whether rightly or wrongly, are there playing their role, as it were. So that is the question I asked again. What is the role of the United Nations? Where are all these people, in this whole theater of war as is going on? What role has they been able to play to ensure that there is peace between these two neighbors? But unfortunately, either directly or indirectly, they seem not to have the courage to challenge some of the actions as well. I see America as a United Nations organization, because it is whatever America says automatically becomes what happens. So.
All right. Well, Honorable Echosage, but what if Zelensky says a capital no to this proposed deal, or peace plan, so to speak? What do you think will be the next line of action by the U.S. government or even Putin?
Well, if Zelensky says no, it's obvious that he's the fifth columnist in Ukraine, whose Russian President Putin rightly described as a narcissist who was brought into Ukraine through the back door by the colonial masters, which my brother Professor described as a proxy war to destroy Ukraine in the first place and as a way of trying to get to Russia. I remember that at the peaks of Europe, during the world financial crisis, certain citizens of Europe suffered a certain loss through the financial crisis, and there was abject poverty in those countries. Remember one thing that is very certain: this war is between the West and the East, and those in the West are the country that was visible, like England and France and all these other European countries, and the United States under the leadership of Joe Biden, who started this senseless war. But then on the East, you have Russia, you have China, a very massive country back in Russia. Likewise, North Korea and other countries, Belarus and whatnot, also supporting Russia on the other end. So the war was not purely a Russian war. Even Iran, Iran also supplied ammunition to support Russia. So they believe that if Russia was to go down as a buffer, the East become vulnerable to the Western idea of occupation in the modern day warfare because of the kind of people that have been in the American government. I think in my own submission, I don't think Zelensky has the guts or exhibit such ability to reject the peace deal, because Donald Trump has made it very clear for them to fight it out, and every time they do, Zelensky suffers more. If he was in the front line, I believe today would not be breathing anymore. So on that note, in my own candid opinion, is a situation whereby it was a good timing by creation that somebody like Donald Trump became the president of America, who doesn't even like the Biden and the Obama type of leadership or ideology, because he was a victim of it as well. And I want to applaud his effort since he came into office, trying his utmost best to stop the slaughtering of kids, young women and children who was forced by martial law into the war front, where Zelensky is still hiding in the bunkers, playing around and jumping around as a strong man. He's not a strong man. It's easy to send a young man to go and die on the front line whilst you are there somewhere using the martial law with corruption charges revolving around the government. So to me, I don't think he has such balls. I don't think he can say no, because I think the people from the inside out might be trying to keep their integrity together, not to become vulnerable to the Russian, harsh approach towards this war like it's been, and maybe trying to give Zelensky a bit of support, not knowing fully well that deep down they may not be happy with him. So standing against that peace deal will not be in the best interest of Zelensky.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable. And that is your last line on this discussion. Well, Prof, you're going to cap up the discussion. If it's with Zelensky, what will you do? Because what I'm saying is he's saying no to that deal because this is glory to Ukraine. Get all land back and push Russian troops away from Ukraine.
Now, sincerely speaking, Zelensky will not play hardball. That's asking for hardball. In diplomatic negotiation, you must be ready to make concessions and make compromise to get what you want. Zelensky knows that his back is against the wall. And Zelensky is not the power shot here. The power shots here is the United States of America under Trump and Russia under Putin. They are the ones that will decide finally how this thing will be resolved. Zelensky is going to ask for something between both of them, but he cannot decide finally how it will go. What is important is that he should begin to accept that there must be a rollback. The damage to Ukraine is extensive, but there are guarantees that Ukraine will be rebuilt and there will be massive reconstruction. That's already a plus on one side. We should not always look at ego. Ego is what we say, I will not go back. He cannot say that. He's a president and this is a war situation. And he's not going to make that decision alone. There are other factors. The international economic system was rattled by Russia's attack on Ukraine. Transactions were disrupted. Food supplies from Ukraine halted extensively. After a while, they restarted. Those things are gains that Ukraine can easily recover. Russia has been making a lot of money selling oil and gas to Europe. And they say Europeans are the ones supporting Ukraine. I mean, why Russia is using the same money that he makes from selling to Europe to
hammer Ukraine.
So you can see that, that's why I said it's not complex, but it's confusing. So every person will look at what we call the Mexican standoff in negotiation. And this is where you say, what am I going to get? But to get something, you must be willing to give us something. And that is why when Ed Libu was discussing the international political system, he said it was anarchic. Anarchy is the rule here. And you create some order from the anarchy. Now, in this same situation, I heard Honorable Tisa asking of certain things that can be done. You also raised the issue of United Nations. United Nations is not an entity unto itself. United Nations is as powerful as the nations that make up United Nations. And who are the nations that drive United Nations? The 5 powers that are in the Security Council. And these are what? The United States of America, Russia, China, Britain, and France. So if they agree, Ukraine must fall into line. So it is just what Ukraine can get. We cannot run away from the fact that there have been loss of lives, but that's why I said war is ugly. And if it happens,
you don't know how it's going to end. Thank you so much, gentlemen. As you can see, our time is up. Let's see if Zelensky is going to accept this deal. But the deal entails that the land that Russia has been fighting for, they are going to get it. You can't be told to reduce our military might, reduce it by 250, that is going down to 600,000. Well, economy without a military might, that is up to 1 million. Would you call that a country? Anyway, gentlemen, thank you so much for coming on today's show. We'll do it again next week. God willing. Bye for now.
Thank you very much for joining us on the program, Healthy Living. What is the kidney?
The kidney is an excretory organ in the body, which is for metabolism.
Tuberculosis affects many organs in the body, but the common ones it usually affects is the lungs.
Epilepsy is a neurological problem.
Okay.
It is an injury in the brain which causes someone to begin to convulse, to go into fits.
It is curable, but the cure is a long-term thing.
If you eat well and avoid those risk factors that will make your immunity to be down, then the risk of contacting tuberculosis will be reduced.
If you're healthy, then you're wealthy. Thank you for joining me on the program Woman to Woman. I'm Adesiwa Osawagie, and today on Woman to Woman we want to look at a very sweet topic, delicious if I may use that word, but it's a fantastic topic you don't want to miss. And we have titled today's edition of Woman to Woman, Understanding Boundaries, the power or the ability to refuse. Refuse what exactly? You need to stay by so that you will know what we are going to dish out for you, and the power to say no to quite a number of things. Christmas is around the corner, don't forget. And a lot of young girls, I'm not mixing words, will debut sex. Yes, they will debut sex. And how will that happen? Most of it is going to be a first one, not by choice. How do they say no so that this does not happen to them? For some careless parents, your children are going to come home with hair that you didn't buy for them, and you will not care to know how they got it. Some are going to come with clothes, baggage jeans, boyfriend jeans, all of that gin thing that you clearly did not buy. And these kids are not working, and most of them are going to be on the age, or maybe say, let's put the benchmark at 15 to 18 thereabout. And these things were not bought for them by you, your husband, relatives, or even family friends. So how did they get it? They will debut sex. And if you're not careful, they will, right under your nose. And how do you cop this? How do you nip it in the bud? How do you guide these young girls against debuting sex that they do not want to get into, but are either pressurized or forced to? How? That's why I have Mabel Adege in the studio this afternoon, and she is, should I call her the coordinator of Teen Guidance Initiative, Teens Guidance Initiatives. She is the originator or the creator or the CEO, anyone you want to put in, but now she put them down. And this is to enlighten girls on the dangers of things that may come their way if they are not careful. So Mabel, it's a pleasure to have you join us, and thank you for what you do for young girls.
Thank you.
You know, I saw you on Facebook and I was like, wow. The way you have beautiful women like this who are carrying our young girls like fire in their hearts. You're one of those persons, and I'm super proud of you.
Thank you.
All right, to our topic for today, Mabel. Girls are growing.
Yes,
girls are budding, small. Girls are changing, and some very dirty men are looking at them in a way that they are not supposed to look at them. Yes, now let's look at young girls and sex.
You know, when you were talking, I was just laughing. Thank you for having me today.
Thank you, Mabel, for coming.
As when you were talking, a lot of things, you know, started going through my mind. When I was growing up, I keep on saying this on a daily basis. My mom was not educated. She not even get primary 6 results.
But she gets certificate of born fine girl like you. Let's go on.
But what I went through, if it is now, I would have sued my mom. Because the way I was brought up, it was very hard. Let me just share part of it.
Please
it will
do.
help us. My mom, she has a table close to her room, like this very table close to her room, that once you go out and come back, she has a feast date that she will lie her girls. We'll be on a queue like this. She will be checking one after the other to see if you are still a virgin.
Wow.
She will use this native egg. You will open your leg. In fact, you will lie down there and put it inside there and see if you are still a virgin. If you are not, you are gone. No. And God so much helped all of us to meet up with our expectations. Let me use that word. We all got married as a virgin. I'm saying this publicly.
Okay.
You get. If you go out, you know that where you are coming from, your home, your mother, she's not the type that tolerates nonsense. You will cooperate yourself. You will sit up. Even when you have the mind to do it. But if you remember that, there is always a day that they will check if you still have this thing, no, you will not misbehave. And another thing you said that made me to remember something again. When we were growing up, you dare not wear clothes that she did not buy for you. There was a day that we were going somewhere. My friends told me, "Na trouser I want wear." I don't get trouser because my mom will never buy for you. And I said, okay, my friend now brought one trouser. And I took the trouser to my sister. I hope
your mother is listening or watching this program. You're in trouble.
And I took the trouser to my mom's sister's, that's my auntie's place. I kept the trouser there. I tied wrapper and I went out. When I got there, not to, even as you are wearing, as you are coming and you are watching, if my mom will see you, that was the.
So or you broke the rule.
Or maybe you will go outside. You will not come back late. Or some guys will not come and check you at home. You are gone. She will ask you what happened to your gender. Why this guy? Now let you just date this community when he come for. Okay, the school where you say she's your classmate, she's this. What about others classmates? Oh, is you, eh?
Why didn't you go to those
You
people?
are gone. I just feel at this stage, mothers, they have a big role to play.
Okay, you know, mothers of those days and mothers of these days are not really operating on the same pedestal.
Yes.
Mothers of those days had time. And things were not this difficult. Today, a woman wants to get married. The first thing the man asks is, what are you going to bring to the table? You get it. So a woman is working, a man is working. In our society today, you see that 50% of homes, you have women as the breadwinners. You know, circumstances may be so.
Right.
All right, we have about 50% of women who are breadwinners. All right, and they are working morning, night, to make ends meet.
Yes,
most of these women don't really have that kind of time that our mothers had. They don't have. So what can today's woman do to help her daughter who is not ready, for intimate relationship? What can that mother do to help this daughter stay safe?
Okay, even though we have a lot of working class women nowadays, I think there's still a way out.
What is that way out? That
and
is
number one is to have, in a week, you cannot tell me Monday to Sunday you are busy. You should have a particular day set outside to always have meeting with your children. Communicate with them. Talk to them. Have open communication with them. Talk about sex education. Don't hide it. You know those days when we were growing up, my mom would say, if any man touch you,
you don't get belly.
You don't get belly. Mama, it was later I discovered that it is not touching that causes pregnancy. It's not touching now. Why hiding all these things from us? Why hiding it from your children? Hit the name on the head. It is not touching. Let them know that there is something beyond touching. You keep on telling your children, if man touch you, you'll get better. It took me a long time that even that time, if you want to touch me, I go dress. Because I feel say as you don't touch me, I go miss my period the next day. It is not touching that causes pregnancy. Do you know why?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you know why? What happened during their time is not what is happening in this Gen Z generation. You will see 20 years old girl, her body count is already 20, if not even more than. But those days, will you try it? Even our time, and I told you, the guidelines that my mommy placed on ground, that you dare not cross it. If you do it...
How many women have that time today?
That was the reason I said there is still time if you don't want disgrace. If you... It's even obvious that a lot of women, that disgrace self, now they are powder. Because girl come out now, you buy parfait, one. You are angry as a mother. Why did you not buy two? Why one? Is your child working? I think last week I was telling one of my friends, I was like, Osas, see people just they wear bow straight coils everywhere. We won't be say we they work. Fear not they let us buy hair.
You're right.
I go calculate, so I will do instrumental payment, they deposit for months before I can buy it. Thank God for people thank God for those people selling that allowed instrumental payment. But nowadays, mama, as you are even there depositing 20,000, you will see a young girl that will come and drop 300 and carry her. She will pay cash. My friend now say, you know go come on your eye. One night they don't buy those.
Where did they get this money from?
To stand whatever, they don't pay for those things. But you are working, waiting for monthly salary.
You know, I boarded a taxi one day and we're going, and then when we check the tariff, I said, okay. And then the guy said, madam, you will ask something to me. I say, why? Is this not what your tariff says? I'll pay you what I owe you when I get to my destination. I say, no. If it's one of these Gen Z girls now, they will just give you something big. I said, what did you say? So one of these Gen Z girls now, just one phone call, they're making 150,000. And somebody was saying that there's this little girl, barely 18, who stays around her areas, who charges between 200 and 250,000 naira for hookup. How did we get it wrong?
Do you know that?
Why are mothers encouraging disgrace?
If you are not doing it to, like some women, if you are their child and you are not even doing these things, you don't know anything.
I don't understand these things that you're saying. What are they doing? You
if you are not doing the
hookup, you just said hit the nail on the head. So
if you are not doing hookup, you don't have a Yahoo boyfriend. Do you even know even girls of nowadays, mama? They are not ready for dating, courtship.
Stop making me feel old. Call me Adesua.
Oh. Auntie Ade, they don't like dating. We see some on social media on daily basis.
They don't want to date.
They will tell you, I'm not available for dating. Hookup is okay. I want to go into it. Why? Because just one night, they will have everything. They will have the money that even civil servants, senior civil servants will not earn in a month.
Let me tell you something. Let me break your heart further. Do you know that these are young girls are seeing all of these things? Because these girls will do what they want to do. They come on TikTok to flaunt it. And our young ones, they use phone.
Yes.
And they are seeing all of these. They are copying all of these. How do we save them? How do we help them? You remember once upon a time where a 10-year-old girl or so, a 10-year-old girl was doing had a sex video. You remember that time?
I'm trying to remember.
This small girl, I think between 10 and 11 or so, had a sex video.
Yes, I remember.
She had a TikTok page then. She was just 10. And she already knew what sex is. Yes. So you know that a lot of our children know what sex is already. But how do we help them?
But
how do we save them?
Man, I want to also let you know that all these children we are talking about, these teenagers that are already aware of sex life, I can tell you 80% of them learnt it from outside, not from their mother.
Hmm.
Because we try to hide the truth from them. See, once your child is 10 years old, start lecturing or teaching that child about sex education.
I think 10 is even too far with the kind of things we are seeing in our society today.
It's too far. And I will always tell you, the problem will always go back to we mothers. We should monitor our children. Okay, your child wants phone, you will just give. There is no boundaries, no password, nothing. We don't use password because you want to keep secrets. We also use password on our phones because you want to hide some things from your children. Because even nowadays, even when you don't even have some naked or whatever on your phone, they will always pop up on your phone.
Yes, they do.
Just on their own. So restrict your children from phone until they get to that age, 18 years. Your child wants to do assignment, be there. Don't worry, when I come, you will use my phone and do it. Make sure you are the one monitoring, you are the one typing it. You are the one helping her to get the answer that she wants.
Okay, another thing that parents don't do these days is that 3-letter word sex is an abomination for some parents to talk about it.
Yes.
I remember vividly at a forum, I offered to come talk sex with the girls. And I saw the way some parents reacted. No, 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 no. My child does not do anything. No. I don't want anybody to corrupt my child. And on and on and on and on. I asked the question, does your child watch TV when you're not there? Do they watch movies when you're not there? Do they use your phones when you're not there? It was even a man who was protesting and he said yes. I said, good, I rest my case. You understand?
Yes.
He should use his tongue to count his teeth or use his teeth to count his tongue, whichever one he wants to do. So this so much abominable word that is destroying our children today, how can parents talk to their children about it? And is it only a mother who should talk to the children about sex, or is it also a father's business?
Did you know why I keep on focusing on women?
No, because bad pikin and mama get them.
Nah, mama get them.
Okay.
The good one. I remember one time, you know, my child did something that was very wrong. The next thing, my husband say, "Na me make the pikin do am," and it was not me at all. And I can tell you this, you know, when a child is good, it's for the father. But when the child is bad, now the mama, they will even tell you, your mama no, like you don't have home bringing. You get. I just feel that at this stage, if you know your husband is too busy, you don't have choice than to do the work of a mother and a father.
Maybe let's take a short break here. When we come back, you come and tell us exactly how a mother should talk sex with the child, the words that she should use. Whether she should say, when Peter went to Jerusalem, or, you know the way mothers are, they dance around circles, but what is happening is happening. We'll take a very short break now. When we come back, she will tell us how to go about it. All right, guys, we're still here doing our thing as women on Woman to Woman, and Mabel is about to tell us how you can gather your children together, particularly the female. We're not leaving the male child now, particularly your female children, how you can talk to them about sex. Not between of quarrel, not between of when a man holds you, you get pregnant. That is not it. All right, so she's going to be telling us at least few steps before we round up. So Mabel, ball is in your court.
I'm here. Okay, I think, you know, when we were talking, I said they should always have meeting. Parents should always have meeting with their children. If you are, if you are the busy type, at least once in a week. When you gather them, tell them about sex education. Tell them, you see this sex we are talking about is not for you, but this is how it is. The reason why you need to tell them, as you are telling them about this sex, also tell them the consequences of unplanned sex. Because if you don't tell them the consequences, they might go and practice it. So when you tell them the consequences, it will put fear in them. So also remind them, when you are talking to them, also remind them about their goal and aspiration. When you tell them that, oh, you want to be a doctor, they will say yes. You want to be a lawyer, okay. You cannot become all of that if you get pregnant along the line.
Okay, that's one line I want to take you up on, because this has happened. If you get pregnant, and a girl got pregnant along the way, and her friends helped her to terminate it. And it was the mother who got to know about it last when complications came up. So, in telling them the consequences, shall we not also tell them that sex is not for them?
Yes, definitely you will tell them sex is not for you. That is the reason, as you are telling them sex is not for you, you will tell them, if you do this, this is the consequences. You will tell them, me in a way, but it's not 100%, you have to put fear in them. Because we have seen a lot of children who got pregnant along the line, their parents never rejected them.
Is putting fear in them not a problem in itself? Because see, they have all of these gadgets. They have phones. Even if they don't have phones, they have friends. But they have friends who will tell them. They have friends who have already debuted sex and are not happy that their friends are still, how do they call them now? They have this name they call them. You know, they are still, I don't know, I can't remember this word now, but there's this word that they use. This will never open eye, that kind of a thing. They have debut sex. Do you know that there are young girls, 15, 16, 13, who are in the business of recruiting their friends for boys?
Yes, a lot of them.
And then they get a percentage of whatever the boy is going to give to the girl. Do you know there are girls like that?
We have a lot of them. That is why, as a parent, you will keep on talking. It's not just a day one, as in one day, a day thing. You advise your children this November. You will say, oh, I've spoken with them now. That's all. If you like, you hear. If you like, not hear, now your life. No. You talk today, tomorrow. You will keep on talking until they get to that phase in life where you want them to.
You know, naturally, mothers were harsh.
Yeah.
So what manner of approach are mothers supposed to use to talk to their daughters?
Be your daughter's best friend.
I don't hear him.
Be your daughter's best friend. Be a friend that your daughter cannot do without you. If anything happens, okay, look at what happened. I don't know if we have time. I did a video before I came here today. There was a story that came to my table today. One woman had 3 children. Another man was molesting them through anus.
3 children?
Yes.
Oh my God.
The children they finally find out under that man's roof was 16 children. Not big girls, so 16 boys. Teenage boy. From
it was sodomizing them.
Like, do you know one died along the line because his born private part was now getting swollen on a daily basis. It was hospital they discovered it. But one woman inside, among all these reports, 3 of her children were part of this thing. But she never discovered it one day. Even to the extent that it was, the woman is a tailor, I will not mention name. It was one of her girl in the shop that now said, the way this your son is working is unusual. Like, this is not how he used to work. Her anus was not paining him. He cannot walk well. The mother never discovered it. If that child was your best friend,
how is it possible?
He will relate to you and say, "Mommy, look at what is going on." But because you are harsh, you are violent, you want to pass all your message with fights and fire, they won't get anything. Like person like me, personally. If you shout at me, I will not get any message you want to pass to me.
All right, maybe time is not our friend. I wish we could go on and on and on. Let's just round this up now with you saying one sentence or one statement to that mother who is finding it difficult to talk about sex to the child, who is finding it difficult to teach her child how to set boundaries, who is finding it so difficult to teach her child to have a voice to speak up, to say no and mean it.
Well, I will say, be your child's best friend, whether male or female. Be so much close to them that they can relate anything to you. And one word I will not forget to say, make sure you spend money on your children.
Okay.
So that they will not go outside and get it. And also make sure that as a mother there is peace in that home. Because if they don't have peace, they will go out there and get the peace.
All right, people, this is it for today on the program. Try and bring your children's best friend as a mother, because you are that very first person the child knows. So be your child's best friend. Create as much time as you can for your child and try to observe your children. And don't be judgmental when they talk to you.
Yeah.
So that you will be able to help them set boundaries, have a voice to say no, and mean it. Thank you for watching. We'll see you again. Bye-bye.
ITV, certainly the best. ITV, certainly the best.